Welcome to the Zeducation podcast, where it's all about helping people and organizations unleash their greatness. The Zeducation podcast features lively discussions.
When they share it, you see that they're beginning to feel empowered.
My heart, it's full of pride for me to be at Maitai Samoa.
You don't necessarily need a degree these days. There's so many pathways to success.
Welcome to the Zeducation podcast. Welcome to the Zeducation podcast episode today, where it's all about helping people unleash their greatness. Today, we are going to talk about gamification and how you can use it to help build character and skills and help youth prepare for future careers. I've invited Winston Cocker, the CEO and co-founder of GameTan, as our guest. Winston and his team are at the forefront of using gamification to help youth build essential skills and prepare for future careers. GameTan's mission is to blend Māori and Pasifika wisdom with technology, creating a powerful synergy for education and personal growth. Today, we are going to talk about using gaming to build young people's character and to enhance the love for learning. We will also talk about the future of tech like AI and so much more. So stay tuned and find out how things like gaming can help you and young people unleash your greatness. Maroa Pito Toko, thank you for coming to our show today. How are you?
Doing mean, bro. Yeah, excited for this. But yeah, let's go.
I love it. Okay, he's ready to go. My man. Okay, cool. Well, let's start at the beginning, okay? I love this whole thing around the concept of using gaming. You know, this is a thing I could have dreamed of when I was like growing up as a kid with PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like, you know, man, if I could play games at school, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But you're literally using gaming to help teach skills and helping people build their character through gaming, like PC and PlayStation, for example. Tell us about that. How did it all start?
For me, I guess from the start, just rewind it back into time. Man, my old man came home one day with PlayStation 1, and that's where it kicked off. We grew a quick addiction to video gaming quite quickly, and I'm pretty sure that everyone else you'll probably watch could probably relate as well. But it led us into where we are now, and that addiction to video games led me into earning money playing video games, which was cool back in those days. When I was in high school, about 13 years ago. And then, some of the boys would be like, yo, like, where are you at school, And then, they'll be like, we'll all be online playing video games, up late, not turning up to school, and it led from that to my boys being like, check us on YouTube somehow. And then so we got capture cards, we got I got into Photoshop to make YouTube banners, and that curiosity and learning about technology at that young age, which was about like 13, 14, just sparked that huge interest in me in tech. And then from then onwards, the same thing with my brother, that huge addiction to video games led him into business, and so that's how it started for us. Is I became a graphic designer because my addiction for video games. So allowing us to see and view video gaming as a way of motivation, not in a way of hey, it's a negative in our life, but making a positive impact in their lives for the future. And that's how we built this GameTan, was based off on our addiction and our experiences into how we got into tech, and allowing that for everyone else as well, because I'm pretty sure maybe a young kid from South Auckland could probably relate with me as well. Okay, cool. I'm not turning up because I'm playing video games at night. Cool. We'll grab you. We'll teach you about gamification. Maybe you're not going to be a pro gamer when you grow up, but okay, cool. So what part of the game did you like? Did you like the software engineering of it? Did you like the design of it? Okay, cool. We're going to filter you into that pathway, and that's how it started up, was through our own experiences in life, and just really acknowledging that there was an addiction, but being able to, just see a way out of it. And then it led us to start GameTan. So I was living in Australia at that time in Perth, and my brother hit me up and he's like, yo, I'm trying to start something. And then I was like, oh, cool. Let's come up with, we need to come up with a game. And it was in the esports industry as well. And we're just like, oh, cool. Like, man, I always loved competitive gaming. And so I came up with, why did we call it GameTan? Because, and just to bring a bit of light on why the name GameTan was, because when we were in youth and YSA back in the days, we'll be like, yo, we're gonna pick you up, we're gonna go somewhere, we're gonna go to the beach, and some of the boys would be like, nah, I'm gonna get my GameTan. Means staying inside, getting pale rather than going outside and getting a bit of sunlight. And so yeah, that's how we started.
I love the origin story of that. And I
Yeah.
love how, it all began with dad bringing a PC home. You guys got really curious. And I think that's probably one of the challenges that people think of or see in terms of gaming. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
And I can see how people can see, it's going to be a distraction. It's going to get in the way of work. It's going to get in the way of personal growth and helping these youth actually grow and develop,
Yeah.
right? And develop the skills that they need. But you flip that and you say, no, it's not yes, it can be an addiction, but it could also be a passion.
Yeah.
And I love the transition that you've done there with that. It's very smart. So tell us about that passion and using gaming to help them build character and skills. Tell us how you do that.
So the biggest importance for us is allowing them to, or allowing us as facilitators to be vulnerable for our rangatahi, and that's one of our biggest points of difference. Is we're not scared to go to our rangatahi and be like, yo, I was addicted to gaming, and that vulnerability brings on trust when. Especially with someone that's just met you within 5 minutes, yo, my parents were cleaners, like being able to tell them what the experience looked like for them, because then that means that there's relevance to them. If someone just walks up and says, yo, gaming's gonna change your life if you do it like this, like, 1 times out of 10 they're gonna just be like, oh, get out here, whereas if you bring relevance of importance to them in their lives, then they can be like, hold, wait 1 minute, like, that if it's not me, then it's my cousin. If it's not my cousin, then it's his his brother, and so it evolves like that. And being able to find that common ground with them, and then being like, okay, cool, everyone, what we're going to do is we're going to split you guys up into teams, all right? Cool. And your captain's going to be this 4-year-old. This captain's going to be your captain of your esports team, quote unquote, for our game clubs is going to be a 7-year-old. But the oldest in that group is going to be a 14-year-old. So everyone has to listen to the 7-year-old as he leads and directs this team to say whether they win or lose. But at the end of the day, the 7-year-olds teaching 14-year-olds, telling them what to do, and being able to, and you're a massive gamer yourself, being able to be like, in Fortnite, oh, he's one shot, but where? And being able to communicate that really in detail. I hit him for 150, so that means, okay, cool, 2 AR bullets or 3, and he's done. And so being able to communicate that in a way, being able to communicate as a 7-year-old to a 14-year-old, and that 14-year-old sitting there listening to this leader that I've just made a lead within this past 5 minutes, and it's just shaping them, and being able, then after that, it's, okay, cool, you lost. Okay, cool. Captain, what are we gonna do to change that around? Captain, maybe listen to some of your teammates as to what they think would have worked. And it's allowing them to, think a lot different, allowing them into situations where they have to be big. And that's just life, and that's what we do is we, all those skills, leadership, communication, being able to be confident in yourself, that builds character. And and if the 7-year-old's built so much character up to maybe 3 years he's with us, he'll probably go into like into intermediate, and everyone's like, holy heck, like, this kid is confident in himself. He's brave to try anything. He's really equipped in terms of communication, leadership. Then and it's all done in a way of a safe space. Okay, cool. We developed this common ground, so let's try something new. And that's how we do it.
I absolutely love that. I love how you talked about, just like with anything, right? You've got to start with, like you said, vulnerability, but it's about building trust
Yeah.
and a ground of commonality, right? And then why should I listen to you?
Yeah.
You know that saying, I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care, right? So you've established that. And I love that you're teaching principles like leadership, teamwork, communication skills,
Yeah.
you know, especially if they're playing co-op games where they have to kind of work together. But my favorite part is, you know, when you're talking about like with games, you win, you lose,
Yeah.
right? And how do you turn that loss into a learning?
Yeah.
How do you turn that into something as a team that we can grow and continue to move forward with? Because life is filled with losses and challenges, and you've just got to learn how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's very smart. So then, what are some other traits? So you've got leadership, you've got communication skills. Like, are there specific traits that you guys focus on, and what are they, and how do you embed that into the gaming?
I guess it's we don't really focus on a specific trait. We just allow everyone to I mean, maybe our biggest one is leadership. I think that's our biggest one is leadership, because for our game clubs, we want to go to the point where so our game clubs is a free gaming club that people can come to anywhere in Tamaki Makaurau. We run it in multiple places, where kids come, have dinner, learn about tech, and gamification as well. And then there's a spot at the end of it where we open it up to free time, where you can just have, you know, with all these new friendships that you have made, you can be like, okay, cool, maybe you guys can play Roblox together. Okay, cool, maybe you guys can play a game of you know, Fall Guys together, you know, and it's just fostering that relationship with it. But yeah, so with our game clubs, our biggest purpose or mission for the game clubs was to um make it make it um make it operate on its own, with the youth doing it, you know, and us just being right next to them as they lead all our game clubs. And so being able to sit down with our rangatahi and be like, okay, cool, he wants to teach the presentation about AI this week. He wants to teach he wants to do the icebreaker activity this week. He wants to do introductions this week, you know, and being able, then having like a 9-year-old kid put up his hand. I'll do the introductions, which is the hardest part of it. And then you've got like a 12-year-old kid putting his hands up for fun activities, icebreaker games, you know, and just really fostering those leadership skills that and also I feel like a big one that we also focus on is critical thinking, which is involved a lot in video games, especially when it comes to strategy. So yeah, I think those are the two big ones: is leadership and critical thinking.
I love that, and I love that element of it's fun and it's exciting, and I love that how you give them an opportunity to kind of lead. It's
Yeah.
you know, it can be quite scary, especially for a youth, but then you work together and you make it a safe space that you talked about, and it's about learning and growing. Um, at what stage, I guess, what are some ways that you kind of help them translate then? Like, you know, yeah, I've learned leadership playing this game. It's been awesome. Now, how do I find a way to translate that into like future work
hmm
aspirations? I mean, they're still young,
Yeah.
but you know, there's some sort of aspiration.
Yeah.
And how do I translate that into life in general?
hmm I guess the biggest thing that we do is we we invite the parents along on the trip as well, and them understanding, oh, cool, this game club isn't just playing games. You know, today they learned about leadership. Today they learned about, in terms of tech, what it takes to build your own AI, what it takes to build your own computer. Cool. So now the parents know, you know, so when they go home, the parents come back the next week, and he's like, oh, my son actually cleaned up his bed. You know, my son, my son, because he wanted to come today, he did everything that was needed for him to come today. You know, and it's cool because the parents are like, you know, come from, like, we've had parents come and they're like, oh, I was gonna pull my son out, but then I saw an article on you guys, and I saw that you guys don't just game, you educate. You know, and then so when they go home, my son's not as intense as he was usually. You know, he usually especially one of these kids called what's his name, Flynn, little kid from out west. He's crazy. But you know, every time he comes, his mum's always worried that he's going to, you know, eat too much pizza, eat too much Sprite, or drink too much Sprite and just throw it around, because apparently that's what he does at home. And you know, and I told her, I turned around and we're like, you know, over here he's not like that. Over here he's not like that. And then we show her, maybe you can sit down, have a little watch of what he's like, and then just the huge change that he does when he's at game club. He goes home and he shows a little bit about that, and I guess for us that's substance that that what we do at game club does work, and if they only take 1% of what we've taught today, that's 1% that's added on to the knowledge or the character. Yeah, and yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
No, it definitely answered my question. I mean, I love that element in involving the parents as part of the journey, right? And I see this with schools, like if there's anything that teachers would wish that would help the student is having the parents more involved in the
Yeah.
learning and the education.
Mhm.
Right. And I love that element that you're bringing in the family because that's right. The last thing you want is them to come to this awesome game club, to GameTan, and then they go back to this, to the old places and they're a different person. So like what you want them to learn and the value they gain here to translate into other aspects of their life. And a big part of that reinforcement is having the parents involved.
Yeah.
Like to see what it looks like here and how can I reinforce that and encourage the same thing at home.
Yeah.
Is there any tools, I guess, for parents around that, or any tips that you can give around, especially in the home,
Yeah.
right? When it comes to like gaming, the last thing you want is like a parent walk in and be like, "Hey, yeah," and then it's a negative thing. How do you make it a positive thing in the home?
Get to know your child. I think that's the biggest one, and it's because I've experienced this as well. It's my mum. She was all about us kids, because Tongan culture, the dad goes work, or island culture, dad goes work, the mum knows everything, how the house functions, how do you help this child when he's sick, different remedies go for different children, right? And so a lot of the time when my dad would, my mum would see, okay, cool, these kids, it's better off for my kids to be at home than anywhere else roaming around and partying and doing all of that stuff. And then sometimes my dad would just come straight from work, and he would like, one day he grabbed the keys and he smashed our Xbox, and so then my mum comes walking in and she's full crying and she's like, look, these kids aren't having fun, and so having a mum that kid and actually understood us was massive.
That's powerful. And, thank you to your mum. I mean, look at where you are today because of that support and how she saw that, right? That potential, and it's brought out the best in you. Can you shed a little bit more light around the Māori and Pasifika values and how you incorporate some of that
Yeah.
into technology?
Yeah, I guess our biggest one is especially in the tech landscape is I feel like kids brought up like with me, I didn't know what it looked like back in those days, and so growing up, all I saw was a cell phone in my hand. Growing up, all I saw was a car parked in the driveway. But allowing them to see, hey, like there was an actual tech landscape, and back in the days, how did what did the housing look like back in those days? There's a program that we run, and it's called the Tech Iwis, and it's helping them understand what the tech landscape looked like back in the days. So, being like splitting them into teams and being like, okay, cool, you're the housing iwi. Cool. So, what did housing look like back in those days? As a Māori, as Pasifika, what did it look like 100 years ago? Cool. Navigation. You're part of the navigation iwi. Cool. What did navigation look like back in those days? And that's from our ancestors using the sun, the stars, and to navigate. And it's being able to help them realize that back in the days they used to read off walls, but now we can read off ebooks, our phones. And helping them, translate those cultural values within those space. Because back then, we were always innovators, and we've always been innovators. But at some point, we've been made to think, otherwise, that we're no longer innovators. But if you go back into time, they created wakas, and that waka sailed from Samoa, Tonga to New Zealand and everywhere around the South Pacific. how strong is that? How much value does that have? And that's only using the sun, the marine life, you know, and it's just so fascinating for them to see, like, holy heck, like back in those days, a trip from Mangere to Manukau or a trip from Mangere to Pukekohe was a 2 days walk. And being able to help them, like, oh crap, like, cool, like, I know what I look like now back in those days, but what about now? Like, and so helping them realize through these iwis like transportation and the health sector, and helping them, look at the values, the core values of Māori, and also the core values of Pasifika through that way, and helping them visualize it so that there's a bit of gratitude towards it, eh? But then also showing that with that gratitude, you know, if technology has scaled this much in 100 years, what does it look like in the next 10 years? And so then they just start thinking like, holy, like, how did our tupuna do it? How did they do it? How did our whakapapa do it? How did everyone do it back in those days? Made houses out of rocks, out of flax. But now we're struggling to make it out of wood, like, and it's being able to help them understand that, that the rawness of the tech landscape is there is reality to it, but helping them understand that, our Pasifika people, our Māori people, when they wanted to go A to B, they'll go A to B, and it doesn't matter how, whether it was by waka or if it was horse, they'll do it, and so yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that concept of, in order to move forward and look ahead, we have to look back
Yeah.
and acknowledge those who came before us, and especially for Maori and Polynesian and whakapapa,
Yeah.
and look at our ancestors and how they did things to inspire us in the present
Mhm.
and help us move forward.
Yeah.
I love that. Because man, we're always connected. We're
Yeah.
always connected to the past. But I love that. What are your thoughts around? Because just a second here. Ooh, almost I couldn't hear myself. Just what are your thoughts around AI?
Yeah.
Because technology, because that's the space that you're in at the moment. And technology is always evolving.
Yep.
AI is the huge buzzword. It's the game changer right now. Everyone's doing it, business, even personal lives. So what are your thoughts on AI, the future of AI, and how can we help our rangatahi now
Yeah.
keep up with technology like AI?
Yes, AI is a massive buzzword right now, and being able to understand it and how it works is a different thing. But to be honest, I go back to a talk from Alabedna, and he said, so we got, so on our mission we just got given iPads and phones, and so he shared that talk about agents, and he said who's being the agent here, meaning who's being used. Who's being used here? Is the cell phone using you, or are you using the cell phone? Um, and I liken that straight to AI as well, and through our programs as well. What's being used here? Is AI being used, or are you being used by AI? Is the knowledge that AI has, what's keeping you together, or is the knowledge that you have what's keeping AI together? And so understanding that, be smart first, and then allow AI to be smart second. And that's what I always tell, like, for the students that come through our doors, and they want to use AI to, I'll just use AI for this, I'll just use AI for this, I just use AI for this, which is all right, but first show me that you're smart enough to use AI, because at the end of the day, you know, um, at the end of the day, when you go into your interview, when you go into anything, you don't take AI with you. When you go into when you go into like into any sports team, you don't take AI with you and say, okay, how do I work in a team? You take your character, you take who you are, what knowledge you carry in your brain, and so allowing yourself to be smart before AI comes in and helps you. Using AI as a blueprint, not as a as the gateway to everything and every single answer that comes with it, and so yeah, I guess that's probably the biggest one there, like, with AI rapidly changing, and iOS 7 coming out with like almost full AI, and with Apple, everyone's still wondering what Apple's going to bring out so much, and so everyone's just speculating at this point what the next thing is going to be, you know. But maybe instead of wondering what the next thing's going to be is, you know, how is it going? How might this help me? You know, look at it and okay, cool. I'm having troubles with this side in my business, or I'm having troubles with this side in my home. Cool. How can AI help me and better my family lifestyle? How can it better my business in terms of growth and scalability? But doing so in a way where it's a blueprint, not dictating you where you should go. And it's going back to, what's being used, you or the AI, And so, yeah, I guess that's it for me.
Yeah, it's a very interesting space, AI. I mean, it's still new, even
Yeah.
though it's so huge at the moment. And I think it's a space that young people are still navigating, even adults. But I guess I just love this. It gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. Gamification. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're right, and you know me really well. I love gaming. I
Yeah.
love playing Fortnite because I love to hang out with my mates online.
Yeah.
But I just like shooting stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and not get in trouble for it. But like, tell us about some of the trends that you're seeing in the gaming industry, and how is that going to potentially shape the future?
In terms of technology,
Yeah.
I feel like one of the biggest ones now, the biggest trend right now is probably augmented reality, AR, VR. Um, and I feel like um a lot of sports are getting into that stuff, like into technology. Like the other day, man, like I was talking to someone and he was talking about, oh man, I honestly forgot what they told me about, but they were telling me like how it's enhancing a lot of their players, technology, just giving like little devices that show, okay, cool, like this is how fast, how strong he tackles, this is how strong this hits, and this is how fast his passes hit, and it's just shaping everything and everywhere, and and um you can't deny it. Technology is everywhere at this point. And being able to come to terms with yourself that technology is shaping the world to what it is right now, would help us do so. But yeah, there's this cool trend that we've been working a bit on, and we've been 3D modeling. So augmented reality is whatever you see in the room, you can just add and play stuff. Like a lot of home designers use it to, okay, cool, like the kitchen should look good here, but in the gaming industry, it's quite cool because now people are like, cool, I'm gonna develop a map that is inside this room. So I'm gonna put a wall in this room here, put a wall in this room here, and we're gonna have a gunfight now. And so everyone's just like, holy, like, how do we get in on this? It's slowly creeping up in America. It's slowly creeping up in Australia and Europe. But yeah, it's just insane how you can just put on a goggle, see what augmented reality looks like, and then someone's just on the computer next to you, just, okay, I'm gonna put a brick wall up here, I'm gonna put a over here, I'm gonna put something over here, and then you're gonna have a gunfight, and you're just literally in the room. Yeah, and it's just amazing to see how, um yeah, like, technology is rapidly um just changing, especially with AI. Like, you know, back in the days, you used to um have to know how to code in order for you to create a video game, create HTML for websites, CSS for websites as well. And being able to, now it's changed where AI is like, how do I code this so it looks like this, and this? Check it into your website, and it may not get it right at the first time, but it'll, give it enough chances and it'll get it right, And so it's honestly just, it's scary how it does it, but if we go back to what I said before, is, what's being used, and so if you can really answer that question, then I feel like you have no problems.
Yeah. Wow, technology has changed. Even just for gaming, I remember growing up with the brick phones,
Yeah.
and you could play the brick game or the snake, right? Just the going around. But it's crazy how far technology has come
Yeah.
now. You know, like things are, going from 2D to like 3D, and then now, AR, VR. It is crazy, but at the same time, it is very exciting. And I
Yeah.
do know that AR, VR, I do know that New Zealand's a little bit behind when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There are other countries in the world who are kind of ahead of the game, and I'm seeing in workplaces they're using things like VR and AR in terms of like. There's pros and cons, but like, doing your forklift
Yeah.
license on there, because that's a little bit more safer. I mean, in terms of, doing the real thing, you might crash or do an accident or something
Yeah.
like that, right? Might as well test drive and try it out on the virtual thing,
Yep.
right? Rather than so there's like pros and cons around that, especially when it comes to health and safety.
Yep.
Hey,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
It's just crazy to see that, like, you know, just as you said, is so many of things nowadays is you can just pick up your goggles and learn how to build a house. Pick up the goggles and have a look around how to build a kitchen. And it's just it's made accessible for everyone, which is the crazy thing too. And yeah, it's just yeah. Going back in those days, just like the tech landscape is, yeah, the snake game, from playing Doom, the OG Doom, from playing Alex the Kid, and then all of a sudden all these 2D games, and then now you're playing like as if it's in your life, VR, AR, and it's just crazy to see the evolving effect of what it looks like nowadays.
yeah. And I love that. I mean, yes, it's no longer gaming. It's almost like become embedded in everything now, right?
Yeah.
Integrated. So it is an awesome and exciting time to be in, with technology, and it's evolving. And I love the work that you're doing, Winston, and GameTan, and how you're helping youth and using gaming as a passion, right? And making it a positive thing, and teaching young people skills like leadership, teamwork, communication skills, all these skills. Who would ever thought that gaming could help bring out the best in people? It's great that you're doing. Thank you for being generous with your time and also
all
with
good.
your knowledge. Just to kind of end this podcast with a bang, what's one piece of wisdom that you want everyone to take away from our conversation today? And also, if people want to get in touch with GameTan, how can they do that?
One, to finish off a bang, I'd say is build your character. Your character will take you way more further than what your knowledge holds. And second is knowledge. And so if you focus on building your character, what people see first is your character, who you are, before you open up your mouth. And if you can bring a positive vibe, bring, oh, this guy is real serious, this guy means business type of vibe, then, you've already almost won the battle. And if you're able to really enhance your character in a way that that's positive, then you'll be anyone. You'll tell anyone anything and they'll believe it. And in terms of leadership, in terms of knowledge, in terms of who you are as a person, will take you further. Just like I said, take you further than what your knowledge will do. And then once you open your mouth, that's when your knowledge takes you even more further. But yeah, so that's it for me.
I love it. And if people want to get a hold of GameTan,
you can follow us on our socials, GameTan official, or you can head to our trust page, which is a trust website, which is hotutu.com. I'm pretty sure Bussy could probably put it down somewhere in the chat. But yeah, so that's it for us.
what a powerful way to end the podcast with that awesome message around building your character and your knowledge. And if you want to get in touch with GameTan, we'll definitely leave some sort of link in the description. But Winston, CEO and co-founder of GameTan, thank you so much for your time and the work that you do for our youth.
No, thanks, Heaps Bussy. I appreciate it.